Been winning big across the country from the Pacific Northwest to Maine down to Louisiana. Let's bring in right now on the phone Clinton Campaign Communications Director Howard Wolfson. And Howard, let me begin by congratulating you. You still have your job this morning. Some of your compatriots do not. But help us out. Explain to us, how does Hillary Clinton change the dynamic between now and March the 4th to stay competitive with Barack Obama after a series of big losses since, I guess, Saturday afternoon?
Well, you know, we knew that this was going to be a better month for Barack Obama than it was for us after February 5th, the contest on Super Tuesday. And I want to put a couple of things into perspective. One, we've had a little bit over 2,000 delegates have been apportioned so far. The race is essentially a tie. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 delegates separates both contestants. So after...
Hey, Howard, let me stop you right there and just ask you, it is a tie. And it's still, I think if you talk to anybody, only a fool would predict how this would turn out. But tell me, what's unique about these states that they've been lined up in such a way that they've all broken against you in a very big way? I don't doubt what you're saying. Just take us behind the numbers and explain to us why why you knew that this month is going to be bad for Hillary Clinton.
Yep, fair question. First of all, Senator Obama we have done better relative to caucuses in primaries. We do better when more people vote, by and large. Not true in every state, but overall in large states like California and New York and Massachusetts, and we do better when we have primaries in which large numbers of Democrats come and vote. Senator Obama has an advantage in caucuses relative to primaries. So there were a number of caucuses this month that were going to favor Senator Obama. We believe that the coalition we put together of states on March 5th, California and New York, two very large and important states, states in between the coasts like Arkansas and Tennessee and Oklahoma, red states that Hillary Clinton was not supposed to be able to win, Arizona and New Mexico, other red states Hillary Clinton not able to win, shows that we can win in large states and in red states. And in the contest on March 4th, we have two very important red states in the last election in any case, Texas and Ohio, where we're going to have large numbers of people voting, and when we think we are positioned to do quite well. And
Howard, if you lose in Wisconsin and these other states before then, the question is, how do you hold? Because we know what you guys have to do. Any campaign picks up the phone after an election and says, "Yes, I know things have gone very badly, but hold on until March." How do you make that sell to Senator Clinton supporters to stick with you through this tough month?
Well, you've got to make the case, again, a fair question. You've got to make the case convincingly that victories in Ohio and Texas are indeed possible, if not likely. I think we can make that case. You can make that case based on the public polling that has us up in both states. And then you have to make the case that if you win Ohio and Texas, that we will essentially be back in a tie for delegates, roughly, with Senator Obama, and that is also the case. And so we can win in Ohio and Texas. Polling shows that right now, public polling. And if we do, as we expect to, we will be back in a rough tie with Senator Obama on delegates, and then we go to Pennsylvania at the tail end of April for a critically important contest.
So Howard, if what you says plays out the way it does, every journalist around the world that has ever covered politics are going to be camped out from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. That will be on April 2nd. That will quite likely be the primary that determines who's going to win the Democratic nomination?
Well, you know, I think it is unlikely that anyone is going to be able to go into the convention with the number of delegates needed to win. I think this is going to come down to the convention. Pennsylvania will be critical. I think, look, we're going to see a lot of journalists in Ohio and Texas because they're going to be critical as well. Look, I think the other point I want to make is money here is obviously important. We are raising large sums of money on the Internet. We raised $10 million in the first week after Super Tuesday just online. We are continuing to raise enormous sums of money on HillaryClinton.com. We've had an explosion in our online fundraising after Super Tuesday, and so we are going to have all the resources that we need to compete in these states, which obviously if we were not in a position to do that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you about a much bigger question, and a question that I hear from your campaign, I've heard for some time, a frustration that the media gives Barack Obama a free pass in this way. That when Hillary Clinton comes on or when you go on a show, nobody has problems leaning into you and asking you the tough question. But there's been a real frustration that you believe, your campaign believes, that Barack Obama has essentially gotten a free pass. Is that an accurate description of the frustration that the campaign has been feeling for quite some time? And do you think it may possibly change now that it looks like this guy may soon be the front runner?
You know, I'm going to let you and your colleagues decide whether or not the race has been covered equitably and whether or not Senator Obama has been subject to the same kind of scrutiny that Senator Clinton has been subject to. I think there are a lot of opinions about that, you know, but it's I'm not.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Let me ask you this question then, Howard. If you can, name for me the toughest interview that Barack Obama has faced on TV.
I can't think of one.
Has he ever had a grilling on TV or in a newspaper interview that you can think of to say, boy, if you want to see when a reporter put Barack Obama back on his heels, go look at the clip of so-and-so asking him about such and such?
No, in fairness, nothing does come to mind, but let me also say that that doesn't mean that he hasn't been subject to some tough questions during this campaign. I'm not going to sit here and disparage your colleagues or your profession, but if you ask me, you know, honestly, is there one that stands out? No, there's not one that stands out.
Well, I certainly wouldn't disparage my own profession. I just say the guy who's been around in Washington for 2 years, whereas I can ask Hillary Clinton about her health task force in '93, what she said on the Today Show in '98. She's got this history that Barack Obama doesn't have, makes it harder to land a glove on Barack Obama, which, let me ask you, does that make your job that much more frustrating?
I'm not frustrated. I'm excited. I mean, look, I think that this is the longest campaign in the history of American politics. After so many months of doing this and so many people voting, it's essentially a tie. And I feel great about our chances in Texas and Ohio. And then after that, Pennsylvania. So would we have liked to win states this month? Sure, everyone would rather win than lose some of these contests. But this is a long campaign. It is a long effort, and we feel very, very good about what's coming up next.
All right, Howard, thank you so much. And my suggestion on the night of every primary, wear that sweater. It brought you good luck in New Hampshire.
Well, I knew
good luck moving forward.
The sweater only has so much luck in it, and last night was not the night to take it out.
Okay, thanks a lot, Howard. Greatly appreciate it. You know, and Mika, I just want to be very clear. I'm not. There's that sweater. Good God, it's ugly. I'm not disparaging.
This is what you're talking about.
I am not disparaging that sweater, nor am I disparaging people that we work with. It's just a lot tougher because, again, Barack Obama's been around for 2 years. He doesn't have the history that Hillary Clinton has, a 35-year record, which you can go through and say, well, you did this wrong. Do you wish you had done this differently? So it's got to be frustrating.
Well, you know, I think that's fair, and I think it's something we look at every day, and certainly you and I talk about it. And as we proceed ahead, we will more. Joe Scarborough, thanks very much. Coming up.